Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Studio 7. I'm Mercedes Wilson.
I'm Matt Bobek.
And I'm Autumn Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Monday.
So we're not mad at you anymore. The weather is...
It was nice today.
It
was nice today.
It wasn't bad. The breeze wasn't like a bitter 4 below type feeling. I'm like, man, there was a little sun, not too bad. And now it's going to rain, but
I'll take the rain.
We drove back from Detroit this late morning, early afternoon, and as we were about halfway through the drive, I looked at the thermometer in the car, and it said 49 degrees, and I was like, wow, I can't believe it's 49 degrees here. And then I realized I'm not that far from Buffalo, so it was also going to be somewhere in the high 40s when I got back to Buffalo. Like what it is in Thorold is also what it is when you get to Buffalo. But I was like, wow, I can't believe that's what I expect. For some reason, when you're away, you feel like, it's hard to kind of catch your bearings when they're so quick. And I'm like, wow, it's 49 degrees here. And then I'm like, wait, I guess it would probably be pretty warm at home too.
Or at least typically it starts coming in our direction.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Everybody is saying Happy Victory Monday.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are pretty excited. Yesterday was a big win. Yesterday was a fun one.
Yeah.
Very exciting game. I mean, we talked about last week how they scored a bunch of points, but they weren't able to get a win. But, a lot to like about the offense. This one was just scored a bunch of points, and they wanted a track meet, and Josh Allen's the best player in the National Football League.
Okay, so I've got a question here.
I've got an answer.
So the last 2 weeks, high-scoring games.
Yes.
Are teams more focused on their offense, or our defense is just not that good right now? Or the teams that we're playing and us don't really have the greatest defense?
So the Bills' defense has been not fantastic the last few weeks, but I would still say it's fine. It is like a pretty average defense as a whole. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries. The Bills' offense is historically dominant to the point that you could make the argument this is the best offense the Buffalo Bills have ever had.
Yeah.
Which is
they're doing really good.
Bananas. Yeah. They have scored. Now, it is not common to score 30 points in an NFL game. That is a really good day. They have done it now 8 straight times. In their last 2 games, they have combined for 90 points. Josh Allen is
40-something sounds really high.
Josh Allen is going to very, very likely be the National Football League MVP, which would be the first time that has happened to a Buffalo Bill since Thurman Thomas in 1991. Only 2 Bills players have ever won the MVP, O.J. Simpson and Thurman Thomas. And they're just clicking right now. And it's good to have this figure. It's good to, you always want to be ascending as you're getting ready for the playoffs. Those are usually the teams that can go on a run.
Yeah.
You want to be starting to get your footing at this point in the year and kind of use that to like ride your wave into the playoffs. You don't want to be dipping. You want to be ascending.
Right.
And that's what the Bills are doing right now. It is still a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
But you want to keep riding this wave and you want to go in with momentum. And they still have a chance at potentially the 1 seed in the AFC, which would be huge.
Can we say yet Super Bowl?
No, you can't say it until
you're winning in the playoffs, right?
No, but Buffalo has been saying it for how long?
Anything less would be a massive disappointment because of the way the season has played out. But it is important to remember there are only 2 teams that get there and one from the AFC, and one bad game can completely cost you, which is why the 1 seed would be so massive, because then you get to skip a game to start the playoffs. You automatically advance to the second round, and then you're only a win away from the AFC Championship, which then is a ticket to the Super Bowl. So if you get the bye, once you are going into the playoffs, you are 3 wins away from a Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
4 wins, even though it's only one more win, is just a bit more daunting. And then also you've got to play. So you don't know what's going to happen in that game, right? Like even if you win, maybe you get banged up. Maybe you get really injured. It's kind of what happened to the Bills last year. They played in the first round against the Steelers and they won, but a bunch of their players got hurt. And then they missed those guys when they played against the Chiefs and they lost a close game. So that bye week would be huge, but the Bills need a lot of help. It would require the Chiefs losing 2 of their last 3 games, and the Bills would also have to win out. Now, the one layer here is a little too sportsy, but Patrick Mahomes got hurt yesterday.
Yeah, somebody's talking about that too.
So if they hold him out for a game or 2, all of a sudden them losing 2 games is not completely out of the question. Like, they need him healthy for the playoffs, and I would venture to guess they are overly cautious with him. So if they've got a backup quarterback in and they're playing 2 teams that are going to the playoffs in their next 2 games, those are very possibly losses. Now the Bills got to handle their own business.
Yeah.
But it makes it really they play on Saturday this week and the Bills play on Sunday. It makes it really interesting if they lose on Saturday and all of a sudden the Bills are only a half game back.
So yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I think this pertains maybe more to hockey, or maybe I'm completely wrong, but I hear, defenses win games.
Yeah, sure.
So
Defense wins championships.
Would that be the case in football too?
Defense wins championships is a very traditional and historic way of thinking about sports. And I do think that there is something to be said in it, but I don't think that that's the way the NFL is played anymore. Having a good defense is important, but having an offense that can absolutely explode, to me, is more important. You think about the teams that win the Super Bowl, it's always the teams with the great quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has won the last couple. The one that he didn't win was Tom Brady. And then before that, it was a bunch of the really great quarterbacks, and those teams are led by guys who are difference makers, and the Bills have one of those players who is that good. You want to have a great defense, but I don't know if you can count on a defense as much as you can count on an elite quarterback. You want to get help on both sides of the ball. The one thing for the Bills that they do have is they've got a defensive-minded head coach, and he's pretty good with adjusting things. So I do think once it gets down to crunch time, the Bills' defense will make some plays like they did yesterday, but it all comes down to Josh Allen. Oh, what's that question said?
That question said, why did they move the game to 420?
Debbie, they moved the game to 425 because Josh Allen is must-see TV. Because legitimately, he's probably going to win the MVP, and the networks want to put him in a window where more people will see him. I think CBS probably thought, hey, if this game is at 1 o'clock, not nearly as many people will watch it. We want to put it at 425 because we know people will tune in just to see him, and that means millions and millions and millions of dollars for those television companies.
It sure does. Sure does. We'll be right back. So let's go through some of these comments because people had some stuff. Marie, I hope I'm saying your name right. There's a lot of aspects to look at. It's not a done deal by far.
For what? Oh, the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, of course not. Of course it's not a done deal. But, you could make the argument they're the best team in football right now. So when they're the best team in football, a lot of people think that you should win the Super Bowl, and understandably so.
Yeah.
DJ asks, what do you think about the Sabres?
Oh, the Sabres are a mess right now. An absolute mess. It's bad. That was something we were just talking about in the newsroom before we got out here, because the Sabres had a meeting today, according to a bunch of reports of they met there. Terry Pegula flew out to Montreal to meet with the team, and apparently kind of gave the group not a vote of confidence, but it's like, hey, we're going to figure this out, and we're going to figure it out with the group we've got, which in theory is great, but they've lost 10 games in a row. So how much are you really figuring out with the people that you've got in place? I don't know the answer to that question.
Ooh.
What is the Wi-Fi network here, Alyssa? Okay, thank you. I'm just my laptop disconnected. I don't necessarily need it right now, but
another question for you: how's Cole Bishop and Matt Milano?
Matt Milano banged up. I would think it's more of a short-term injury. And then, sorry, I was getting into text while I was answering that. Matt Milano. So Sean McDermott said he is, quote, getting better, and kind of lumped him in with the other guys who are dealing with short-term injuries. So that's a good news. Cole Bishop, I believe, just had a cramp. So I think he is fine. I think he probably honestly went in and got an IV. He hasn't played a ton this year, so him moving and running around, I'm sure, kind of led to a cramp. So I think he's good to go. Peter, Sabres are like the Titanic, just sinking. Just start playing the music. My heart will go on. Yeah, well, that's not good. That's not a good thing to compare to a hockey team, right? That's not great.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
They'll get it together at some point.
Yeah, they'll get it together at some point. Yeah, we shall see.
So is this always the answer? We see this a ton. Fire the Sabres coach. I mean, every time there's a bad game. I mean, you said that this is 10 games.
Stretches.
This is 10 games.
10 games is a long time.
Yeah.
No, it's not Cheryl, I don't believe it's about firing the head coach. Lindy Ruff has won a ton of games in the NHL. He is one of the winningest coaches of all time. you don't just forget how to win.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
one
yeah.
of two things happens. Your team isn't good enough, or management hasn't assembled a team for you that is good enough. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of those two things. I don't think it's the coaching. And also, they just hired him like a couple months ago. They're not
Yeah.
going to fire him after a couple months. So if they were going to do
Right.
something, it would be firing the general manager
Yeah.
or making a big trade. But it doesn't seem like either of those things are coming either.
Yeah, but you
So-
see that all the time.
so
Just
get-
fire the coach. Just
so-
fire the coach.
So get used to it because they'll win eventually.
We're coming back, friend. Welcome back to Studio 7. So it's Victory Monday.
It is. Yes.
It is Victory Monday. And I have a question for you, Matt.
I have an answer.
Yesterday, I was getting ready for the game,
Sure.
getting
Okay.
the food ready. Autumn, I'm sure you were kind of getting around for the game, you and your family, right?
I actually was low key yesterday. Did not go anywhere for the game.
Good
Just
for you.
just watched at the house.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Just
nice.
watch it.
But most of us are getting meals together, families coming over,
Mhm.
or we're going out somewhere. Your day is totally different.
Totally.
Walk us through a day of Matt Beauvais on game day, because it's a totally different day.
Sure.
Well,
do you
it
want
starts by getting there first.
Do you want me
right?
to be like incredible? I can be so incredibly detailed with you.
I'm sure the folks at home would want to know.
Don't
I'm
bore
sure the
anyone.
Right? I could be like, you want to know what I had for breakfast? So Detroit is a nice, easy drive. If you cut through Canada from downtown Buffalo, it's about 4 hours. So Dom Tibbetts and I drove through Canada on Saturday morning, and we made our way to Detroit. We get to a hotel, we check in, we record some stuff that goes onto the news on Saturday evening. We have an 11 o'clock newscast on Saturday. We do that, and then it's very chill. Meet up with some friends, go grab some dinner. Like, that's the time when it's really, really fun to be on the road, because you've done your work, and now it's, hey, let's unwind.
Yeah,
Let's enjoy
yeah.
ourselves. We know we got a busy day tomorrow. Yesterday, so Sunday morning, it's a 4:25 game. If I was somebody who could sleep in, I would, but I'm just not wired that way. So I woke up and went down to the hotel lobby, and I grabbed breakfast with some of our colleagues from ABC in Rochester and then Dom. And then after that, I had a little bit of time to kill. So I love just walking around cities and exploring, regardless of the weather, regardless of what's going on. So I just walked around Detroit for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I just picked up a coffee and I just started walking around random parts of Detroit and ended up wherever I ended up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to music, maybe listen to some podcasts, whatever. My day for work probably starts around noon on a 4:25 game day. I
Okay.
usually am trying to get to the stadium about 3.5, 4 hours before the game starts. When you get to the stadium, you've just got a lot of prep work you got to do. You got to figure out where you're putting all your equipment. You got to do some videos for social media. You got to get some things ready for the website. And honestly, it's just a little bit of time to kind of relax, because the day is about to be pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
My day, I always say, from like 10 minutes before the game until probably like 6 or 7 hours after the game, it feels like you are just sprinting the entire time. It doesn't feel like it's like very easy. It's just, there's so many different things going on. Your laptop just shut
Yes,
down, didn't
yeah.
it?
My
Right?
computer
we literally,
just died,
we
Alyssa.
literally just talked
So
about
if
this.
we have some good comments,
Yeah.
you have to put them up.
Okay. So get to the stadium. We do all the stuff that we need to do. Now we're getting situated. The game starts at 4:25. While the game is going on, I'm usually just kind of posting. I watch from the press box. Dom is down on the field with a video camera recording all the video that we're able to use on the news that night. When the game is going on, my job is to basically just provide updates on social media.
Yeah.
Mostly on X and now on Blue Sky a little bit, and just take notes to make sure I know and comprehend what's going on, and also start to get things ready if you can start to prepare ahead. Now, if a game is coming down to the wire, everything you might prepare could throw out the window
Right.
if the game doesn't go the way you're planning on it going. So you're starting to do that. One of the things that we have to do is, usually there's an elevator from the press box all the way at the top of the stadium to all the way at the bottom of the stadium, where we have to go for the locker rooms, the interviews, and all this kind of stuff. So you don't ever really watch the end of the game from the press box. You watch it on a TV outside of the locker room, waiting to figure out what is happening.
Yeah.
So then at that point, you're getting the camera ready, you're getting your gear ready. The minute the game ends, the locker room opens up. You run into the locker room, you get interviews with the players, you talk to them about different storylines, different things. Then there's press conferences, you do that. And then it's okay, we got to get on TV. So then you start recording things for TV. Game ended yesterday about 8 o'clock, was probably done with work, let's say 12:15, 12:30 is my guess. And then we went out for some food and a couple pops. And then
Yeah.
that was the end of the day.
See, and we think not much happens in local news.
Well,
This is why it's important. I mean, like, that's a long day.
so the reason I think it matters from a hyper local standpoint
Yeah.
is that when you are hearing and reading and like people are talking about the Bills, they are looking at it from a very umbrella view of like,
Yeah.
okay, a national perspective.
Yeah.
When you are around these guys every single week, basically every single day, some of the conversations are different. Some of the answers are different. Some of the transparency is different. And also, I feel like the audience locally is different than the audience nationally. If you're listening to somebody nationally on television talk about the Bills, they're going to speak to the Bills in a sense of what everybody can, take in.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if
yeah.
you are a super big fan of the team, you probably want to know more, or you want to know things a little bit differently than what the general
Yeah.
opinion of the team is. And I think that's something that, we really strive for. And a lot of people who cover the team really strive for, because people are so into it. People love the team so much. There were people at the airport last night when they got back from Detroit for a game week 15. People can't get enough of it. And I feel like it's our job to just kind of connect them to the
Yeah.
team as much as possible, and also just produce an absurd amount of content.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love that. And then you kind of get
A long day.
it's a very long day.
And then, like last week in Detroit, or last week in Los Angeles, take the exact same day, but instead of going back to a hotel and sleeping, it was, hey, let's take a red eye to get you back home. So then you do that entire day. You get to the airport at 10 o'clock. You get on a flight at midnight. You fly from Los Angeles to Chicago, land at 6 a.m. Then you've got a 2-hour layover in Chicago. You land in Buffalo at 10:30. Then you go home and try and nap. But obviously it's a Monday, so people want to talk about the Bills. So then you have to come back into work. And then you come back into work and you're on TV at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. We have our show on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. So they're long days.
Yeah.
But I never want to make it sound like I'm complaining, because
Yeah.
I am like legitimately, I get paid to talk about football
Yeah.
and watch
Yeah.
football, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's, there could be days that are stressful. There could be days that are long, but the good so far outweighs the bad.
Oh, I love
Yeah, and the adrenaline takes you through the entire thing, and then
Yeah.
you crash at the end.
The adrenaline takes you through.
It's the same thing in weather situations.
Yeah,
There's adrenaline, and then you're like, "Oof."
I always tell people working in sports, I really do feel like in a lot of ways is like working in a big breaking news story or working in like a big weather event, because all of
Wow.
a sudden everything becomes
Yeah.
like on high alert,
Yeah.
and so many people are interested, and like you're just go, and then it ends.
See?
All right, we're
Like
gonna
this segment.
We
like,
just get our
like this
food ready.
segment. Good transition. We'll be right back.
But I was thinking yesterday during the game, I was like, I wonder what Bove's doing right now. Like,
Yeah,
if he's running all, you know what I mean, running all over.
Yeah, they're long days. I mean, there's really no time to like really figure out what the heck is going on. But it's fun. What comments did I miss?
Mine
not
is
too
shut
much.
down.
You're a great game day follow.
Oh, that's
Dion
nice.
sent a message for people to show up.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think I did heard that. We want the more intimate, personal details, Anita.
Well, someone said we don't need them, so I think she was saying yes, we do.
Oh, Matt, we don't need the personal stuff, in-day stuff. Well, Peter, I could tell you that, the Renaissance Hotel in downtown Detroit has a very nice breakfast in the morning. And I've had to go there for the last 2 days, and it was pretty good. Kind of dreary. And
Much like here.
much like here, yeah.
Yeah.
We were on the floor. It's funny because, like, you're in Detroit, and we just booked, like, I don't ever really book, like, the super fancy hotels or anything. But this hotel was actually connected to one of the General Motors buildings. And there were like 75 floors, and
Wow.
you forget how high that is until you're in a room on the like 60th floor or
Yeah.
whatever it was. And I'm looking out the window, and I'm just looking out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so high. But then this morning when I opened the window, you couldn't see a thing. It was just
Yeah,
fog,
you were in clouds.
because you're basically in clouds, and you're like, what the heck is going on outside? Like it's like apocalyptic basically. But yeah, that was and it's always the energy and the people, and everybody's always excited following a win. So that makes the job a little bit different too, because, when you're having conversations with people after a game, you're taught you are covering the team as a journalist, and you need to take yourself out of it as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
But guys are happy when they win and they're sad when they lose. It's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
simple.
yeah.
It's a very simple concept to understand. People
Yeah.
will be more willing to talk to you and be transparent with you and have conversations with you when they're in a good mood.
Yep.
When they're in a bad mood, they might not want to open up, or they might not want to talk about
That's for
things,
sure.
which is totally understandable. There's actually a cool down period. From the time the last player gets into the locker room, they won't open it up to reporters for 10 minutes.
That's understandable.
Because like these guys just, ran around and beat the heck out of each other for a couple hours. Like
I
they
just
want to
sit there
come down a little bit.
as a mom now, and maybe as I'm getting older as well, and I watch them hit each other the entire game. I'm just going, ooh,
And you should,
why do they have to hit him like that? Oh, his ribs. Oh, like
Yeah.
I'm just such a mom for all these poor kids because they're kids to me now at this point.
Right?
That is so funny. So you got called the residence travel agent.
There you go. We were just during the commercial break, everyone talking about like the hits and now how you watch them as a mother and you're like, oh my goodness gracious, like
Yeah.
those hits. I mean, these dudes, I legitimately, I tell people it's like every week they go through a minor car crash is the level of contact that
Honestly,
they're
the
taking.
way that they
Yeah.
hit each other, I can't. I mean, I sound. Anybody that would be with me would be like, you need to stop making sound effects on
So
this.
all of this,
'Cause I'm so-
so all of the stadiums, all the stadiums are built, and obviously, if you go to a sporting event, you go to a concert, you see the main part of the stadium. Almost every stadium in the country has an underbelly, whether it's the complete perimeter of a basement, and down there is where there are rooms for staff, security, for media, locker rooms, all of that stuff. When you're in those underbellies of the stadium, there's always the locker rooms for the home team, for the visiting team, and usually some auxiliary locker rooms for like officials, coaches, all this stuff. But directly across from the locker rooms are X-ray rooms because like you need to be available if you just took a big hit to go get checked out to figure out, okay, what kind of treatment do you need? Do you need
Yeah.
further treatment? So like yesterday, and this is all reportable, like Josh Allen walks off the field, he's in the locker room, and before he comes and starts talking to reporters, he goes into the X-ray room. So immediately your antenna goes up, and it's
Yeah.
like, uh-oh, what happened to Josh Allen, right? Like, why is Josh Allen need to get X-rays after the game? And then that almost changes the entire storyline of the game, because if it would have been some sort of significant injury, the conversation after the game would not have been, hey, the Bills beat the Lions in this really great game. It would have been, Josh Allen got hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
How
right.
long will he be gone?
Yeah.
When will he be able to come back? And will he be able to come back for the playoffs? ... Oh, by the way, the Bills beat the Lions today.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
yeah.
incredible how that can
does,
kind of
yeah.
shift the entire thought of a game. And, that's unfortunately one of the aspects of sports is that injuries do happen. And it just stinks. There's no really easy way
Yeah.
of putting it.
Connie wants to talk about the catch Dawson got yesterday.
That was great, Connie. He made a nice one-handed catch. Dawson's a great guy. I really like Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
He is a really, really easy guy to talk to. He's been here for a while now. I think he's really kind of embraced the Buffalo community, and I feel like the Buffalo community has very much embraced him as
Absolutely.
well. He's a fan favorite, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody knows about Josh Allen. For all those years, everybody knew about Stephon Diggs, but Dawson Knox and Deion Dawkins have kind of
absolutely.
ascended into that
Yeah.
next. Deion Dawkins legitimately, I don't think they do it anymore as they're building the new stadium, but you know how they've got like the Wall of Fame with all the players who they have, honored over the years. Deion Dawkins is so much on that. He has been an unbelievable athlete and community advocate.
Yep. The community loves him.
Since the day
Yes.
he got to Buffalo.
Yep.
And I think that is such an important thing. Those guys volunteer so much. They do so many different events in so many different parts of the community. I think it's so important that they kind of understand that.
Yeah.
And, he's one of those players that Josh is an all-time great. Like
Yeah.
nobody is in the same stratosphere as Josh Allen right now, but there's a lot of guys who deserve a lot of credit. And Deion Dawkins is very high on that list.
Yeah. So quick question. Your hair is considered a part of your body because when
I asked
oh
him
my
about
gosh, I was so mad. I was like, really?
They're like, that's legal. I was like, that's just.
So I asked him, does it hurt? So what they're referring to is James Cook on a touchdown had his hair pulled as a guy was trying to tackle him
It looked
and
painful.
slow him down.
It looked painful.
So after the game, we're chit-chatting a little bit, and I was like, so how bad does it hurt? And he said, the adrenaline is rushing so much that you don't feel it in the moment. And then he's like, but then when you score, the adrenaline picks up to an even new level. So he's like, so I never felt it. He's like, if I think I would have gotten taken down and didn't get in the end zone, I probably would have felt it.
Yeah.
But like, you're scoring, and now all of a sudden you got 350-pound linemen jumping on you and throwing you in the air and celebrating with you. So he said he never even really felt it, although it looked like it would have been really painful.
At some point, though.
You know, with being girls, our hair is typically longer, and I've never gotten into a fight or my hair pulled.
Oh, come on.
In that sense. But I would think, you know, if you get a couple strands caught in something, like it hurts. But if you get like a whole, like a ponytail pull, like that doesn't hurt as much as like a little bit. So I think if they would have pulled like one strand, like that could have hurt whole lot more than like a whole hand grab.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, he's talking. Peter said, "Didn't James Cook get a towel pulled and snapped too? Somebody got their shirt.
It was his undershirt. So a lot of the players will have, you know, they've got a jersey on. Under the jersey, they've got pads, you know, shoulder pads, and then under that, a lot of them wear like t-shirts or like compression shirts or something. Some guys like it looser. Some guys like it more form-fitting. So somebody pulled onto that and pulled the shirt. So, you know, physical game. He was just getting beat up the entire game, basically.
Just show you what a dork I am.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was like, they just pull his underwear. My husband just looks at me. He's like, no.
Not his underwear.
No.
The level of athleticism from these guys is just out of this world. Josh Allen went in for the x-ray. He did see him breaking the internet. Yeah.
I like that,
Yeah,
Sandra.
that's good. That's a good comment.
I like that.
I was like, oh no, what is she about to tell me? I was literally standing right across from the room, so hopefully you're not breaking any news to me.
So when do they play next, and who are they playing?
So the game just got moved, the time of the game, from a 1:00 game to a 4:25 game in Orchard Park. That is this upcoming Sunday against the New England Patriots. So yeah, they've got 3 games left in the regular season, 2 of them at home, the next 2. Love that for me, that the game before Christmas and the game after Christmas are both in Orchard Park.
Yeah.
Really nice with a little girl that I'm going to be home and I'm not going to be traveling anywhere. And then the final game of the year is in, like, the date hasn't been announced yet because it'll depend on how things play out, but it'll be the first weekend of January on the road against the Patriots. And then at that point, we'll know how the playoffs play out, how the travel will work. Where do they go?
Now, do they put in their normal people at that point?
Well, it depends. If they need to win, then they will. If they already know that they will finish in a certain position, then they will probably rest a lot of guys. What is the...
Okay, before we go, I just have to read this. I think you'll appreciate this. Cheryl says hair pulling is a girl fighting technique. As a former high school teacher, that was such a girl move.
Well, pulling the hair? Pulling the hair? Wow.
They're going in.
Yeah.
Bill's Mafia.
Believe it or not, did not have to deal with any of that when I was in high school.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, guys.